Welcome to Next Level Leadership with Sissel Anderson, the YouTube channel where we delve into the inspiring journeys of successful female entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Sissel Anderson, and my mission is to empower and inspire women to take comfort strides towards their dreams. Whether you're at the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey or already on your path, this channel is here to motivate, educate, and uplift you. And today I'm thrilled to introduce a truly remarkable guest who embodies the essence of transformative leadership, Suzanna Kennedy.
Aloha.
Yeah. So Suzanna Kennedy is an Ascension Catalyst and a 5D leadership coach with more than 20 years of experience in spiritual development and leadership. With a background in instructional technology and years as corporate trainer, Suzanna mixes spiritual wisdom with practical skills. So she is the author also of 2 books, and she helps high-achieving women align their professional success with their soul's purpose for transformative impact. So Suzanna, welcome, and I would love for you to start by describing how your journey began and why you chose this path.
Okay, well, thank you, and aloha to everybody. I started out in Detroit, Michigan area. I was working in a consulting firm. We specialized in designing, training, and performance solutions, and our client list was mostly the automotive companies. And so I was doing very well with that. I was probably in that for about 15 years, and everything was going well as far as my career, and very successful, very respected. But I kept feeling like, I just think that I was put on earth for more. Was I really sent here to, teach guys how to run a car dealership? I don't think so. So I kept asking that question, what's my sole purpose? And then one morning, a Saturday morning, I woke up to this energy that was pulsing up my spine. And it was very fiery, very electric, very scary. And I just kind of said, oh God, what's happening to me? And I actually heard a voice in my head that says, you're giving birth to yourself, just breathe. And I had 2 children, so I did the Lamaze birthing breath. And that helped for me to cope with it because it lasted for about an hour and a half. And then when it was done, I felt like a completely new person. And I could feel this vastness of being, like I was this incredible love light that was connected to everything. And it was an incredible feeling. And yet I could still at the same time see that who I thought I was before was, that was not who I really was. And to me, it looked like a collection, like a computer program that was networked throughout my whole cellular structure. And, I realized that was my personality, that was my ego. And I could see that it was just constructed like a computer program with a bunch of beliefs about who I was, which was really false because really all of us are this vast being of love and light. And so then, of course, everything changed because it really, it wiped out my emotional attachment to my self-identity. So it wasn't like I had amnesia and I couldn't remember who I was. I just didn't believe that's who I was anymore. And then I had like new values and new, this new self, this true self, what I call the divine self or the 5D self, was born into my body. And so I had to get to know who I really am, while at the same time knowing that I had to somehow delete this computer programming because it was still there, and I could see that it would limit me in being who I am and doing what I came here to do. So that was kind of my first mission, was to figure out how to get rid of that programming. And then that led me to take a workshop. That voice stayed with me and it guided me to do things, and it was really a beautiful voice. It was soft, it was empowering, always loving. So I really appreciated that guidance. Anyway, I took a workshop at the guidance, and it helped me to ground this energy, this higher dimensional self, and integrate it more deeply into my body. And then the same person that did the workshop had a modality that allowed me to delete the computer programming. And it worked, and I was impressed. So I took the training to be a practitioner of his modality. And kind of long story short, it took me about a year to gracefully disengage from the life that my false identity had created, and get on the path to a new me and a new mission and all of that. So after that year, I moved to Sedona, Arizona, and I started practicing this modality that I was certified in. But when I would do it, the guidance would come in again and ask me to change it and do this and try that. And, it just totally refigured it and evolved it. And they were saying that there's going to come a time when so many people realize that they are their own worst enemy, that their limiting beliefs about themselves are what is holding them back. And they're going to want to, deprogram their subconscious mind and that. And so you won't have the opportunity, you won't have the time to do these one-on-one sessions, because these one-on-one sessions, as he had designed it, were very cathartic. They were dramatic. You were bringing energy through the system, and when it would hit a block, whatever the trauma was that put that block there would be re-experienced. And that was not a graceful situation. So how I evolved it was to make it more graceful, so that it could be, people could do it on their own, or I could do it with the whole group at the same time. So that evolved into what is now called the Emotional Mental Detox Program. And it's, a series of guided meditations, and each one takes you to a different aspect of your consciousness to clear up the limiting beliefs around that aspect of consciousness, and also to heal all of the emotional wounds that those limited beliefs have created throughout your life. So there's 6 sessions, because we've identified like 6 core issues that we all have in common. So anyway, I did that, like 20 some years ago, and my guidance team stayed with me, and we've developed other programs, more and more advanced. So there's like a sequence now that I take people through on a transformational journey, so that and a lot of my clients have come to me because they are, they're successful already, but they were feeling the same thing that I was feeling. It's like, there's, I'm not sure that I'm getting, doing a lot of purposeful work, or I'm not sure that this is really what I've meant to do, or I'm feeling that spirit is calling me to do more, but I don't know what that is, and I don't know how to transition from, this success and material success to like more of a soul level fulfillment.
So that's what you call the high. You help high achieving women align their professional success with their soul's purpose, right?
Right.
And how can they do that? How do you help them do that?
Well, a lot of them come from the corporate world, and they want to break away from that, but you don't want to just walk away.
Mm.
So, you know, I mean, my own journey as an example, in that year that I made the transition, you know, first I had to dissolve my marriage because my contract with my husband, my soul contract, was complete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There wasn't any fault. It's just like we came here and we did what we were to do together, and now that's complete. And so, you know, just going through the divorce first, because I could feel this new life.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel it, but it was so different from where I was. I didn't know how to get from here to there. And I just wanted to run away and go be someplace else. And I had a coach and a mentor who said, all of these changes you want to make are big, big life changes, and each one of them comes with major stress. So instead of, you know, doing it all at once and pulling out the rug from under your feet, you know, financially,
Mm-hmm.
and all the support, let's do one thing at a time. So that's what I guide people to do one thing at a time and go through this transformational process that helps you to, you know, from the inside out, let go of the past. And when you let go of the past and the past limiting beliefs and emotional pain that you're still carrying around, all of that heaviness are related to frequencies. Everything has its own frequency signature. And so those are slower, lower vibrations. And when you release them, and we're releasing them gradually over time, it automatically raises your frequency. And then you get into a whole nother octave of grace and ease, and it allows you to move through the transition with more grace and ease because you're changing, you know, a lot. And so giving women the support to go one step at a time, to keep going, to be encouraged, to have all kinds of energy tools to make this, you know, any situation more harmonious and graceful. So that's what we do.
I actually wanted to ask you what the biggest challenges professional women face when they try to integrate spirituality into their careers. And you might have touched already on that now with all the things you said now. Would you say that's some of the
Well, you know, the challenge is if anyone has a spiritual awakening, like suddenly, like I did, you can think that you're going crazy. So that can be a challenge. And then you're wanting to change things up. So the people in your life they don't want you to change. They're used to you the way they are. So you get, you know, you can feel limited by the people around you. And then the worry about, well, if I leave this, you know, very successful career, how am I going to support myself financially?
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to, you know, to do one thing at a time, step by step, and get a lot of support and encouragement, you know, and then, you know, I'm bringing together, you know, women that are all going through that same thing. And, you know, we're going to have opportunities to connect with each other and help each other, and masterminding and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, I didn't have the support, and I still got through it really gracefully because I connected to my higher self and had the guidance. But it's good to have guidance and support in the physical world as well.
Yeah. And I know that you talk a lot about 5D leadership, and so these things that you have been talking about now is actually 5D leadership, is it? Is that correct? Or how does 5D leadership differ from traditional leadership models, for instance?
Right. Well, first to just clarify, talking about third dimension and fifth dimension. So in the third dimension, we can see the kind of leaders that we have in the third dimension. I mean, it's all out on the public stage now, how dysfunctional our leadership is. And so it's based on the whole third dimension is based on the illusion of separation. And because our reality's been hijacked, quite frankly. So, all of the indigenous cultures and religions, they all talk about that Earth was originally a paradise. It was a Garden of Eden. Okay, and it was created as a fifth dimensional environment. And the beings that were seated here were fifth dimensional humans. And something happened and came along, and the whole reality got hijacked and put into this third dimension. And the behind it was to keep us under control, so that whoever was doing this and however they were doing it was to keep us limited and to cut off our connection to our higher self, our multidimensional self, source, God, whatever you want to call it. And so this is the time now where the consciousness of Mother Earth has chosen to ascend, and she is ascending, and we are on the surface of her. And if we want to reclaim our own higher self, our own divinity, we can do that. And the energy coming through the sun, from the galactic core, is raising the frequency. And it's raising it. And when that happens, and so this is a little bit of quantum physics. So when you have two frequencies that are different, it's the law of harmonization. They're going to harmonize. But if one of those energies is stronger and more consistent, then instead of having this happen where one comes up and one comes down, if you have one like this unity consciousness that's coming through, then this one is forced to come up. And that's what's happening. And what that causes in our reality is a big planetary detox. So all of those lower frequencies of fear and separation and duality are being forced up to the surface as they get released. So all of this deception and corruption and manipulation has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. But it was able to continue because we didn't know about it. And now it can't be denied. And that's because the frequency is so high now that deception and manipulation cannot cannot be hidden. The frequency, you know, so we're getting like the frequencies that are causing transparency. So that's what's put us in the fourth dimensional, you know, is all of this disclosure. And we're moving to the fifth dimension, which is going to transcend duality. Okay, and that is called unity consciousness. So that's a 5D and higher consciousness where you know that everything is connected, we're all connected. And we've heard this, you know, from spiritual teachers, but we've had the limiting program that only let us have it as a concept and not as a reality. So when I talk about 5D leadership, I'm talking about embracing new characteristics. And I have 5 that I'm working on right now and really getting them concise. So forgive me if I read them, but the 5 essential qualities of a 5D leader: empathetic intuition. So this combines empathy, compassion, and intuitive wisdom to guide decision-making and understand others deeply. So that's number 1. Number 2 is authentic resilience. So this embodies authenticity and transparency while demonstrating adaptability and resilience in the face of challenges. And number 3 is visionary unity consciousness. So this embraces visionary thinking within the framework of unity consciousness, seeing interconnectedness in all aspects of leadership and life. And then we have emotional intelligence, and this maintains emotional intelligence, effectively managing one's own emotions and those of others to foster positive relationships and outcomes. And then number 5, purpose-driven adaptability. And so this aligns actions with higher purpose while remaining flexible and open to change and continuously adapting to serve the greater good. So those are my 5 essential qualities of 5D leadership, which you get to when you clear out that limiting 3D programming and start using our multidimensional abilities that are already there in our DNA. So hidden or suppressed in our DNA is this 5th dimensional version of us. So it's not that we have to go anywhere and get it or somebody has to give it to us. We already have it. We just have to unlock it and allow it to be.
And that's what you do when you help women overcome emotional blocks and limiting beliefs in their leadership, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah.
So your background before you transcended, your background was very much in the male area with a lot of, yeah. So how do you see women and men? Is it like that more women are actually held back with all these things, or is it equal with men as well?
Well, you know, despite what is being said recently, men and women are wired differently.
Yeah.
And you know, because we grew up in a patriarchal framework, in order to be successful, women have had to adopt the male concepts of success and leadership. And, you know, I know what I was feeling and what I hear a lot of my clients saying that are successful in the business world is that they feel that they lost contact with their own inner feminine, and they want to embrace the feminine qualities of intuition and creativity and going with the flow. And, you know, our society values intelligence over intuition, and it values, you know, critical thinking over emotional intelligence. And, you know, and what I noticed when I was in the business world working with all these men is what they thought was rational and logical wasn't it. They were actually responding from their ego fears.
Mhm.
So, yeah, bringing the balance back. And I believe that we all have what we can describe as an archetype. So the subconscious mind likes stories and characters. So I use the archetype of the inner male and the inner female and the inner child. And so the inner male would be representing the left hemisphere functions of the brain. So
Mhm.
thinking, analyzing, order, action, those kind of things. And then the feminine is the intuition, the feeling, the emotions, the ability to feel okay in the mystery. Okay, because intuition, a lot of times, especially the way I experience it, is you get information, but you don't necessarily get the why.
No.
You know, like, this doesn't feel right, you know, and then the masculine part, well, why? Why do you say that? What's your evidence? What's your, you know, prove it. It's like, I can't yet. It will show itself later. But to, you know, to be able to balance that within yourself, and both men and women, you know, would be good to do this, because then you're in whole brain functioning.
Mm.
And
So,
and so
actually, sorry.
go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, you.
Well, so
Sorry.
what happened when I brought this new self, and I was still in the corporate world for a year. And
Mhm.
so what I was doing was experimenting with these new aspects of me that were now very intuitive, very empathetic. I could see that I had the ability to heal things. I could see that I had the ability to consciously create the outcomes that I wanted. So I started experimenting in my, you know, career and using it. And what I found was it really, I got a whole big higher level of leadership with all of these men. I worked with all men.
Yeah.
And what I was able to see was how vulnerable they really are, or how they feel, not that they show it, but I could see I could empathize and know what their fears were, so that I could speak and support them and encourage them and empower them. And it wasn't like blowing smoke up there, you know, it wasn't patronizing. It was actually just illuminating what was really great about them. And they so appreciated that. And in my being in my feminine, allowed them to like upgrade their experience of being masculine.
Mm.
So they became very protective of me, and it was really amazing, the change that happened in the relationships I was able to have, because I had come into balance.
Yeah.
And so they appreciated my feminine side and weren't threatened by it, because I could appreciate their masculine.
Mm. So in many ways, what you say is that if you can cultivate intuition, it can also give you better ability to decide, making good decision in business, so to
Oh
speak.
yeah. So just to give you an example, so my company had won a project, a big project from General Motors. And it was the biggest project ever. And it was to train all of these, to have common training for all of the different divisions, which they had never had. Everyone sort of were in their own silo and they operated differently. So it was huge. And they had gotten this contract without me being in the proposal process.
Mhm.
So then they gave it to me to administer. And I looked at the plan and, I was like so in touch with my intuition. It's like I created my own, team. It's like, okay, look at this with me and, tell me. And they showed me, this vision of how the way it was done was going to be a horrible failure, and that they were asking all these people to like give up their sense of power and authority and give it over to a computer, and how that was going to create so much fear and anger, and that they hadn't addressed the emotional impact of it at all. And so I went to my manager and said, this is really gonna fail and backfire. And, and so he said, well, give me your proposal. And I had my team and I said, I'm gonna be at my keyboard at 9 o'clock. I'm gonna take dictation, tell me what I need. And the whole plan, I just typed it all out like it was a dictate. And I presented it to my manager, and he says, well, this is going to cost a lot more. And because I was saying we got to hire really good facilitators, because who they had designated was like, no, it's not going to work. And he says, but you're right. You're absolutely right. We're going to have to go back and present this. And they did. And I remember being in that room with 30 men and them presenting the new proposal.
Yeah.
And it was funny to watch the client, because he was really getting angry for us saying that we weren't going to go with the plan, and that the best plan was going to be costing more. But at the end of it, I gave my presentation and he was like, okay, how much more is this going to cost? And we went with that. So these are just practical, ways that I could apply it, and I would also apply it like to then the team that I had to lead. And we would start with visualizing how we wanted the project to come out, what was the outcome, and how did we want to feel while we're working together, and our, our harmony and our team, our harmony with the client, how, we get to the end of it and we feel this, real big successful outcome. And, and then that's the way it would happen. So I could lead them in co-creating the reality that we wanted.
Amazing. So I work with a lot of women, and my experience is that a lot of them they're having fear and self-doubt. And how do you suggest that women can transform their fear and self-doubt into empowered actions?
Yeah, well, that has to do with their subconscious programming, and so in the first 7 years of our life, we are our brain is mostly in the right hemisphere, which is, it's just downloading everything that's going on in the environment without any filter. And what the purpose of that stage of life is we're building our personality, we're building our self-identity. So our minds are actually very much like artificial intelligence. It's like you're going to learn from the environment who you are in relationship to this environment. And so whatever you're witnessing in your family is building your self-image. And it's that self-image that it builds that has the limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this, or I'm too much that, and then that becomes a belief that's in the subconscious that is very powerful, because that is what's creating our reality. And it's what is, we're experiencing that reality, which validates those beliefs. But just like what I found out when I got out of that program is it's a false personality. It's not really who we are. So we are really love and light and these beautiful, fifth dimensional and higher potential beings. And we can break free of those beliefs and connect with our higher self, with our source, our God, whatever we're calling that wonderful, omniscient energy that is the universe. So, breaking free from that allows the truth of who you are to really shine through. And so, step by step, you get more and more empowered. You have more and more courage, more and more self-confidence. One of the things that relates to self-confidence and self-doubt is this fear of abandonment. So we all have that. So that's one of the core things that I work with. And that fear of abandonment causes us to do things that we really don't want to do so that we keep the relationship, or to get the approval, or to avoid rejection. And, there's always that little voice in the back that is like saying, you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or, whatever it is. So we can get that voice to be quiet and stop, ruining everything for us. So it's just a matter of clearing out the subconscious. And then, like I said, all of those self-limiting beliefs have created the events in our life. And the events seem to validate the beliefs. But they're not really validating the beliefs, because the beliefs are creating them, So we break that cycle, and, freeing you up to really allow that soul, that, higher self to come through and shine through. And it also, like I said before, brings your whole consciousness up into a higher octave where you're inspired now. Yeah. Now you can hear the inspiration. Now you can hear the intuition. Now you can hear that empowering voice from within instead of the inner critic. And so you are able then, because you're not afraid of losing, of being abandoned, because you know that, we're fearing abandonment from others, but in the process, we're abandoning ourselves.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And so we're coming back to that feeling that we are always connected, that we are always supported, that all of the power is within me. And when I feel that empowerment from within, then I'm able to create healthy boundaries with each other, with other people, and stay in my integrity and stay in my truth and be able to express my truth with respect and compassion. And that really can revolutionize your relationships.
Well, this has been so interesting, and I hope that a lot of my listeners or viewers now would like to connect with you and maybe explore this a little bit more. So all your links will be underneath here. So I just want to say thank you, Suzanna, for sharing your incredible insight with us today. And your journey and your expertise in 5D leaderships are truly inspiring. So to our viewers, I hope you found this conversation as enlightening and empowering as I did. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring interviews and content to help you on your path to success. So until next time, keep striving for your next level leadership. Thank you very much.